Welcome back to the channel. Today I figured I'd do a little walk around video for you. This is my 2019 BMW M240i. It's an X-Drive, and I want to do some videos for maybe people that are looking into buying a 2 Series and just want some more information, what it's like to live with one of these every day, what you can expect. Features, functions, that sort of thing. One thing I'll say is that this is my second 2 Series. First one was a 2016 M235i. That was also an X-Drive. Really love that car. Great car, and I really debated on whether or not to trade it in. I had it up for a lease and get this one, but needless to say, I'm glad I did. This has been the best BMW that I've owned so far, and it's probably number 6 or 7, I think, altogether. But anyways, all right, so this spec on this car, again, it's a 2019 X-Drive all-wheel drive, Alpine white over black Sensatac. I went with the Sensatac. Some people, if you have BMWs before, and it's specifically a 2 Series, the leather in the 2 Series is not that great. It's really not, and I struggle. I got it the first time with the M235i. That was gray over the saddle brown interior. And no matter what you do, the driver's bolsters on these cars, they just do not hold up well getting in and out of the car. The Sensatac wears like iron. So I figured instead of taking that money and spending, I think it was $1,400 for the leather, I bought the Harman Kardon stereo. I had it in the M235i. It was not that great. It is noticeably better in the 240, but I don't know if it's worth it or not. It's worth it over the stock stereo. Let's say that, because I haven't actually heard the stock stereo, but more people complain about that than anything else as far as audio goes on these cars. So what else? So what do you get with standard equipment? You get quite a bit actually with the 240 versus the 228. If you're thinking about going, whether or not to spend the extra money on the 240 or the M235i versus the 228 or the 230, there is quite a bit of difference in the two as far as stock equipment goes. So this one has Alpine white, black Sensatac, premium package, which comes with the heated steering wheel, universal garage door opener, heated front seats, navigation, advanced RTTI, remote services, and Apple CarPlay, which is now free for the life of the vehicle. Used to be, I think it was like 1 year free, and then there was a subscription and a sub-service for it, and then BMW took a beating on that as far as people complaining. So what else for additional equipment? I've got the adaptive LED headlights. This have the icon lighting. Definitely worth the money. It's a little adaptive LED. Definitely, where we live, it's a little bit rural, as you may be able to tell. So we don't have a lot of street lights, and it's definitely worth the upgrade. Harman Kardon, I mentioned that. So basically, I've got everything except for leather this car has. Stickered out, $53,180 was the MSRP on this, and I can say that I did not pay that. Did not pay near that. I think at the end of the day, I think I paid about 47,000 on it, for it, and put down about, I think, 5 or 6 grand and financed the rest of it. At the time before COVID, we were doing about 20,000 miles a year, so it just didn't make any sense for us to lease anymore. So what else? So for standard, it comes with a 3-liter engine. As you know, most of you are going to know, it's the B58, rated at 335 horse, 369 foot-pounds of torque. It feels every bit as fast as that as fast as that would suggest. I think these cars, they dyno probably about that to the wheels. The X-Drive just going to dyno less, obviously, than the rear-wheel drive because of the drivetrain losses associated with all-wheel drive. But so what else do you get standard? All right, so M Sport brakes, the blue calipers. See those behind the wheels there. I did get the I went with the staggered option for the wheels. And I forget what the style wheels on this. I'm looking on the window sticker to try to find out the style of wheel on these. I know the old ones were the 436Ms. I want to say these are 719Ms. That's what they are. Sorry. So 719Ms. They're staggered. I got them in the black. You can get them in the bicolor. I just think the black and the white, like kind of the Stormtrooper look, was the way to go. I switched the tires out right off the bat. You can see I've got Pilot Sport All Season AS3s on it versus the Pilot Super Sports. Just because of where I'm at, we do get quite a bit of snow. I don't drive my car typically in the snow. I'm fortunate enough to work from home, but occasionally I do get caught on it. I just didn't want to deal with it. And so these are a pretty good tire, decent tire. I also upgraded the exhaust. It's got the M Performance exhaust with the chrome tips on it. Little powered by M license plate bracket there. For you haters gonna hate on me. I got the M badges on the side. Those are actually an option, believe it or not. Most times when you order these cars, they call it, I think it's like M-Line Delete. See if I can find it on the window sticker here. Or without model designation or something like that, I think it's called. And you actually have to uncheck it to get the badges on there. So what else? You get the Sport Auto mobility kit, which you're gonna need, but no spare. Adaptive M suspension. You get the variable sport steering, rear view camera, comes stock comfort access. I got the hexagon trim, moonroof, power front seats, sport seats, lumbar. Got the auto high beams, which decoding for non-dazzle high beams. It's interesting that they have all this shit on the window sticker. In fact, let me just give you a shot of the window sticker there. Here's the other side of it. The one thing I'll say is this car is pretty fuel efficient. Like I said, I used to travel a lot, do about 80 miles a day commuting, and in comfort mode, just like driving it normal, like a normal person would, you can get easily upwards of 30, 31, 32, 33 miles a gallon without much effort on this thing. So that's one thing I think is kind of overlooked. People don't talk about a lot, is that the the fuel economy for these cars, for what you get and the performance you get, it's pretty damn good. So what else? I got the black kidney grills installed, port option. Those are $210. It's worth every penny, I think, because they're a pain in the ass to change. Unless you cut the old ones out, you wind up having to pull at least the top part of the bumper out. So yeah, definitely worth it in my eyes. Sirius XM for 1 year, hands-free and Bluetooth. I'll let you look at the window sticker if you want. Just pause it, take a look at it. But so that's pretty much it as far as the spec. I do have 3M paint protection on this. You might be able to see it. There's a line like right there is the edge of it. And on a white car, it pretty much disappears. I've got it on the A-pillars, the front of the hood. Did the handle pockets for me. And I think the back bumper at the top here. He wanted to go in like the quarters. I've got a good friend, he's been doing them. He does it along pretty much every car that I buy. But he had done it for me and kind of went crazy with it. So you can see my car is pretty clean. No one ever washes this besides me. I never let the dealer touch it. In fact, this one was special ordered, the last one was special ordered. They come pretty fully wrapped. I do not let them touch anything. I basically pull all of the protective adhesives off myself, everything. I mean, all the plastic on the interior, you name it. They don't even touch it. They basically just run it through the service for the pre-delivery inspection, and that's it. So let's take a look at the inside. Oh, I also have the mirror covers wrapped in black, which I think makes a huge difference. They come that gray. I think the only thing that's left of the gray is going to be this rear diffuser, which looks a little bit dark, but I mean, it really doesn't go with anything else on the car. It's a little bit strange that they do that. But let's take a look inside. So inside you see I've got the hexagon trim. That's what the door cards look like with the Sensatech on them. I did go with the WeatherTech mats. Let me tell you something. I was never an aftermarket mat fan. I'm always like a BMW mat fan. You know, just keep the stock mats in it. And I used to put plastic down because I'm just anal about it. But these things, they fit great, and you don't have to worry about it. I just take the stock mat out, throw that in a bag, put it in the basement, and it'll look mint wherever you decide to put it back in, if you decide to get rid of the car. So here's the interior. You'll notice that my car is extremely clean. I'm very anal about detailing. This is what the black lit gauges look like on the newer LCIs 2017 and up. I'll give it a start up. Now that's the comfort. I don't think it makes any difference, to be honest with you, with the sport exhaust. I think they removed the valve. I could be wrong, but then just shifting it to Sport Plus, I don't think there's much of a tonal difference. I think I've got just over 20,000 miles on it now. So that's what the gauges look like. Navigation. That's the HVAC controls. I went with the hexagon trim with the black gloss around it. That's the passenger side. So you've got your Sport Auto. You've got the different programs for Eco Pro, Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus. iDrive controller. This is touch sensitive. You can spell on it for entering destinations and that sort of thing. Got the moonroof, which definitely helps with an all black interior like this. You open it up, it definitely does make a difference. You don't get too many pops and bangs until this thing warms up a little bit. So that's the interior. The one thing I'll say about the Sensatec is that, I don't know if you can really pick it up, but the green, it kind of looks fake, really fake. It's like they overdid it with trying to make it look like leather, and that's the one thing that I'm not a fan of. My wife's got Sensatec in her X3, and it just looks a hell of a lot better. It's the back seat. No one's ever been back there. I wouldn't put anybody back there to do that to them. Let's take a look underneath the hood. This is running. So I've got the Diamond carbon fiber intake, which was a bitch to install. There she is, the B58. It does drink a little bit of coolant. You do got to keep an eye on the coolant. It's hasn't been topped off a couple of times since I've owned it. I change the oil every 5,000, and I'll have it changed. I know some people like changing it themselves. I don't have any problem with that. I think it's actually pretty cool. It's fun. Maintain your own vehicle. I just don't want to store the oil, and I like having the service records that I can kind of just stack up. And when I do get rid of the car, if I ever do plan on getting rid of it, which I really don't, you can always hand that off. But it just shows the maintenance on it. Now you'll notice these engines, because of direct injection, they're a little clicky. But you can hear that the fuel being injected. There's the lining underneath the hood. What else? So, a lot of people will ask 2000, the M235i versus the 240. They're both great cars, to be honest with you. They really are. Driving the M235i, I never really said to myself, wow, this car needs a lot more power. But there is a marked difference between the acceleration in the two cars. It's just the B58. How do I explain it? It's you instantly. It's the first thing that you notice when you get in the car and you're driving them. You drive them back to back. It's like, oh wow, okay. There's a definite difference with the way it creates torque and just the overall perception of power versus the two. The N55 likes to be revved out, it's weird because it's, you know, makes great noises and that sort of thing. Because my wife just giving me eyes, like, what am I doing in the car? Mind your business, honey. So, yeah, so you can't go wrong with either one of them. Personally, when I traded in the M235i, I was afraid that I was going to miss the car. Even though it's, you know, getting back into a 2 Series, and I got to be honest, that there's not a single time that I'm like, well, I wish I had my old car back. Other than the color, I think the gray with the saddle, I think it was just a very, very nice color combination. It looked good. I had the Orbit gray wheels on it. It's really nice. This car looks really good. It draws a lot of attention. Mostly get just people trying to cut you off, that sort of thing. That reality, you know, it's another thing that you got to deal with as far as, you know, owning one of these cars. But so either one of them you can't go wrong with. The fuel economy is markedly improved on the 240 versus the M235i. So that's one thing to keep in mind. You know, I know the first year, I think 2017, the LCI, they still had the old gauge cluster. This cluster I absolutely love, you know, compared to the other one. I mean, you get into the two cars back to back and it just looks dated. Just the upgrades they did, you know, they've got the stitching on the dash that runs across the top of it. Just little things like that make it look a lot better. This part where they kind of, it used to extend to the passenger side vent, and they kind of dropped it. It's a little weird looking, but I mean, overall, it looks like a BMW interior. It's not a Mercedes interior. It's not an Audi interior. It's functional. Everything is where you expect it to be. The switches, everything feels good. Everything is solid. But as far as, you know, being this elegant, beautiful interior, it's definitely not. It's nice. It's, you know, it's not a Mustang interior, but it's somewhere on the scale of German cars. It's probably towards the bottom, but that's, you know, that's still in great company. You get the Harman Kardon vent grills, speaker grills for the tweeters. What else? And that's pretty much it. Some other things to think about. We talked about fuel economy, what it's like to drive this car as far as driving dynamics. I'll say the 235i, there was between sport and comfort mode and sport, there was a bigger gap, I think. The car was very, in comfort mode, these cars are very like just like driving a normal car. When you switch it to Sport Plus in the M235i, there was a different, more apparent difference between the two. I think with the 240, the gap is kind of smaller between comfort and Sport Plus. I spend the most of the time in Sport Plus on the city, and then on the highway it's usually comfort mode. I did try a Sport. Noticeably the suspension is a little bit, it's more compliant over some of the bumpy roads, but the steering's just a little bit too light for me. Same thing with comfort mode. You don't get much more feedback when you you know, tightens the steering up, but that's just a product of at least BMW's electronic rack and pinion system. So yeah, marked difference between the two. The M235i definitely has a more pronounced feeling between comfort and sport. The transmissions, it's not even comparable. The programming in this new the M240 is markedly, I think that's markedly different and better. For some reason, one thing, sport, the M235i, it wouldn't shift into 8th gear. This one will. It was limited to 7th, and maybe that's kind of why it felt a little bit more raucous, I think, the M235i. But the programming in this thing, it shifts snappy, especially when you got it over to the left in sport mode, and you got in sport transmission in sport mode in the car in Sport Plus. It is very, very snappy, especially on a launch control. I mean, the thing does, the seat will hit you in the back, and your passenger too. So that's one thing that's definitely different between the two, the engines, that sort of thing. I've driven the 228 on track, and I was impressed with it. That's kind of my first experience with the 2 Series, was driving that on track, and kind of and in fact I had an F30 at the time, and kind of woke me up because I couldn't believe it was the same engine in that car, just a lighter car, and I don't know by how much, maybe about 100 pounds, 200 pounds or something, but dynamically that car was just everything the 3 Series should have been. So that's kind of how I fell in love with the 2 Series. And then driving at the Performance Driving Center in Spartanburg, South Carolina, you know, I just was floored on how nimble and how fast the M235i was. That it just pulls, it just continues to pull. Now this thing, I'll say, since I got the intake and the exhaust, it will pull all the way to Revline. It used to be that like after $6,000, it just wasn't much in it. I'm assuming maybe on a graph or something it's making more power, but you just couldn't feel it. Now, I mean, I will run into the rev limiter. It made that much of a difference. So those are 2 things I don't know about, you know, regular intakes. I know Dynan does their homework. You spend, you know, like intake was $700 or something, $700-800. I think it was. I think it's $700. But it's definitely worth it. It is a noticeable gain. It's a noticeable difference on the top end. Put the 2 of them together, the exhaust, it definitely wakes the car up. I would definitely recommend it. Well, I think I'm going to end it there. I've been rambling on for a little bit, but just let me know any comments, questions, anything else you guys want to see. I'm working on getting some more, you know, rigs, GoPro, and do some more driving shots, some more driving impressions. And let me know what kind of information you guys want. All right. Well, you guys have a great day. Peace.